What's good people? Welcome to hashtag My Be More Project. What's the 410? Where we stand in the gap of the news you can use and the positive stories that our spirits need. I'm your host, Dion Joyner Weems. It's like a tribe called Quest. You have to say it all together. And though I wear many hats, they all sit on top of the same mission to uplift, empower, and amplify Baltimore's change makers and truth tellers. Whether that's through hashtag my Be More Project, my book That Part, What Some Know But Won't Tell You About Motherhood, or as the Chief Energy Officer of Audacity Group, a global marketing shop. We believe in supporting bold ideas. And in 2022, we learned what you and I already know. People trust people more than they do a system. That's why we've created space to celebrate the people on the ground doing the work, like the engine behind the Kuts Show. We're joined today by Dr. Lamar Shields, Marc LaVeau, and Kendra Rochambeau Banks. Let's bring them up, shall we? Love Mute, thank you so much for being here.
It is a
I,
pleasure.
I
Good
mean,
morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
you give great energy. Now, before we jump into the conversation, first we have to note that the visionary behind, the Shortcut Show, Dr. Lamar Shields, though he may not be physically present right now, he is spiritually in the room, right? So,
Ever present in that regard.
but as what we like to do is to give verbal flowers. Yes, it's a bio, but we just want to, go a little deeper. Would you mind if I read this to you?
Oh,
Okay.
Right.
For the last decade, the Shortcut Show has created courageous spaces for honest conversations around mental health, fatherhood, identity, resilience, healing, and the power of community. Through the art of personal storytelling, it has reminded us that every person carries a story capable of transforming lives. As the Shortcut Show prepares to celebrate its 10th anniversary, we have the privilege of welcoming three of the peoples whose vision, creativity, and leadership have helped shape its remarkable journey. Dr. Lamar Shields, the visionary, as well as an internationally recognized educator, author, storyteller, and social entrepreneur whose work challenges us to lead with purpose and compassion. Marc LaVeau, not only the director, but co-producer, this man is also an actor, a poet, an educator, and master facilitator whose gifts lies in helping people discover the power of their own stories and bring their best out on stage. Kendra Rochambeau Banks, co-producer and the curator. But she is also the executive leader, an educator, a visual storyteller whose artistic vision helps transform environments into experiences that inspire. Just wanted to give verbal flowers for the work that you do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, before we jump into the conversations, we do a little segment to kind of loosen folks up, to give the personality behind the profession, a taste of the personality behind the profession. And it's called They Ate, where we ask 8 rapid fire questions, no overthinking. You say what first comes to mind. Because we have two guests today, I'm going to start with Marc, go to Kendra, go to Marc, go to Kendra. You ready?
I
Let's
think so.
go.
All right. Marc, coming at you first. Crab cake, fried or broiled?
Neither.
Son of a. We've got one, Baltimore. We've got one. Are you allergic?
No, I'm not.
Oh, all right. Move quickly. All right, Kendra. Nickname your family used to call you.
Ken.
Ken.
Mooch.
I like me. Okay. Marc, name one song on your get pumped, amped, fired up playlist. What are you putting on when you need to get?
Like a Boss by Marshall Montano.
All right, Kendra, if someone narrated your life, who would you want doing the voiceover?
Oh, oh, Angela Bassett.
If I had some sound, I got to add sound to that. Me too. Me too. Mark, if your life had a title right now, what would it be?
Get ready for the ride.
You grounded me in that. Okay. Kendra, what storyteller could you listen to over and over and over again?
You mean from the Shortcut Show?
Um, uh, Wherever, just anyone, what is it? Who's
Oh,
the story you can listen to their story over and over and over again?
Ruby D.
Damn, that's a good one. All right. Mark, would you survive a zombie apocalypse?
Yes, I will.
With
He said, I will.
confidence. He said it with his whole chest.
Yeah, he said he
Okay.
will, like it's coming.
Well, we already there.
You right. You are right.
Let's digress. Last question, Kendra. If you had 25 hours in a day, how would you choose to spend that extra hour?
With my daughter.
As a mother, real recognize real. That is beautiful. Baltimore, I think they ate. They ate. Y'all ate. Great job. Let's jump into a healthy conversation. Um, Mark, I'll throw it out to you first, but Kendra, and I want you both. I'll throw out the question, but if there's something compelling that you want to add, don't feel like you need permission, okay? 10 years ago, what conversation wasn't happening that you felt Baltimore desperately needed?
I think for me, it would be stories from our own people, real stories, stories that spoke about our own experience. We didn't have a space, a platform for those stories to be told. So, yeah. And when I say our people, I mean our Black African lineage,
Mhm.
Black African American people.
Kendra, is there anything you'd like to add? What was missing then that required this conversation?
So I would say, as a people, we naturally tell stories. We are natural griots, and that is how we've passed our history throughout time. However, at that point, it was like someplace intentional
Mm,
in the community that, we felt wasn't missing. We had opportunities through community events, through silos to sit and talk about what's going on and have conversation and hear people's stories, but something intentional where we are gathering everyone together to hear the stories. Of people from all types of walks in our community and, different social conversations that needed to be had amongst a larger group. So creating this opportunity was definitely an intentional space that was created for that.
I agree with you, but I think that intentional is a strong word. Mark, at what moment did you realize this wasn't simply a storytelling event, but something that could genuinely transform people?
Um, I think it was very early on for me in the way I approach the work, um, from a creative standpoint. I'm very intentional about ensuring that the work that I do is not just for entertainment,
Mm,
that it always has a sort of educational, transformational component to it.
mhm.
Um, and yeah, I don't think I would have aligned myself with the project if those elements were not a priority per se. So for me, it's from the beginning, you know. Um, and then as we grew, it really mushroomed into what it is right now. So from the beginning is my short answer to that beautiful question that you just asked.
I think you did a great summary. And because you're both storytellers, there's no need for a short answer because for 10 years, the amount of work that you've put in and the transformation that has happened, it's beyond words. Like my grandfather has a prayer, Dion, if I had 1,000 tongues, I couldn't thank God enough. So I think about just the number of tongues. I digress. But Kendra, I'm curious to ask you the same question. At one point, you know, when you could actually see it was genuinely transforming lives, when did you realize that was that from the very start as well?
It was because the concept of shortcuts evolved from Fades and Fellowship. And Fades and Fellowship was meant to give space to men to tell their stories because we know a lot of times that they do not focus on themselves and they do, but in special spaces,
Mm,
right? So
yes.
we wanted to bring attention to that space. And where's that space? In the barbershop. One of those spaces
Right.
where men feel free to express and exchange and tell their truths. So when we saw the outcome and the expression and the feelings that the men that participated had expressed and how they felt after, we knew right there that this was more than just telling stories. This was a healing space. This was a community space. This was a space to solve problems. We basically, recreated the village circle, through the barbershop. And so looking at the impact of Fades and Fellowship for that initial or that first time, it was like, oh, this needs to be open to community on various projects, and we need to involve the entire community so we can have male and female conversations. We can have conversations about various areas of our lives, occupations, feelings, struggles, all things, because it's a part of healing. So as Mark said, it mushroomed because with all these things and these components existing in this experience, we started building on that. So from that moment, after the first show, not to say that I didn't think we didn't think about it from the beginning,
I
but
see.
after that first show, it was like, yeah, this is powerful and yeah, this is something special.
May I ask, Mark, based on and Kendra, thank you for giving that context of how it the origin story before it evolved. Mark, you had talked about how you approach, you have a specific approach to these types of movements. For that first, oh yes, come on, it's the village. Hi, baby, how are you? Hi. Mark, I want to ask you, with understanding that the origin started with men having a space to share, how did you approach that first session? Like as a man and knowing what, as you said, if it's not about purpose, you work in alignment. What was your approach in this?
So um, I think doing first of all listening, a lot of listening to 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 hear, to understand, to empathize, to relate to um, their experiences and their stories. Because again, we bought barbers from all over Baltimore. There was an audition period that we went through as well. So we had barbers coming to audition who, for want of a better word, also didn't make the cut. All pun intended. Um, and it was listening, doing a lot of listening and tuning in to these stories, these energies, and looking for alignment, you know, alignment with the overall objective again was to share stories that would we didn't want everybody telling the same story,
Right,
you
right,
know.
right.
So we were looking for some variation in terms of the experiences they were sharing for that particular production. And yeah, just trying to recreate that barbershop feel, even in the process of development. You know, there's a lot of conversation that takes place in the barbershop, you know, on various topics, maybe current topics, maybe historic, maybe humorous, and all of those things, all of those elements inside of the barbershop. So, you know, although I have locks, I did have a time when I used to go to the barber
Yeah.
shop and have that experience. So, yeah, I think one of the key things
Mm.
for your question was listening and tuning in to the stories from these men, um, and also being genuine in the approach, because you know amongst men one of the codes is about respect, right?
Right.
So creating a space where that they felt respected,
Yeah.
so that then they can trust the process to be able to do and share in the way that they needed to do and share, you know. And for them to also, part of that trust is also about buying in to the vision,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and then being a so it was a wonderful
Right.
experience, you know. Yeah.
It's powerful because it feels like uh you're half griot, half therapist. Um, Creating that safe space and knowing it's not talking first, it's listening. So I
Mhm.
understand it. I want to ask you, Kendra, every movement needs people who can, you know, not only see the vision, but create environments where it can flourish. And I mean, you have a gift. What made you believe in shortcuts enough to invest your time, creativity, and leadership into it?
Um, so I am naturally and committed to the arts. No matter what let me say this, no matter what it is that I'm doing, arts is always incorporated somehow, some way. I feel like art is life.
Mhm.
And so, whether we're expressing verbally, through song, music, visually, in how we present ourselves every day,
Mhm.
uh, in the environments we create around ourselves, um, it's necessary because it's also part of the expression. It also sets the tone, it sets the mood. It also helps us communicate to anyone who's coming into space or anybody who is listening or communicating during that time of expression that we set the tone, right?
Yeah.
So, believing in the entirety or the wholeness of what was happening, because like I said, with the Faith and Fellowship, and I don't mean to keep going back to that, but that is the foundation,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
At that moment, it was about men. And so often they don't create or intentionally create the space for themselves to feel safe and have these conversations. There are pockets, but it's not a commonplace, which it should be.
Right.
And so in that moment, it was like I wanted to recreate somewhere where they felt comfort. I also wanted to give them their space. So, didn't want to interject as the woman and say what I have to say or respond to their thoughts because I'm like, wait a minute. It was like, nope, this is
Mm-mm-mm.
their space. Even when they took pictures, I was like, nope, this is about you all. I'm not going to be in the pictures. Although I am part, I'm in the background supporting our Black men. And so, um, and seeing the power in that, and also being committed to the arts being life and cultural arts uplifting us and being able to heal us, um, make us feel good, give us a space for expression. I felt that it was important to make sure that the space is also telling the story or
Mm.
assisting in telling the story.
I mean, and again, and hence I'm preaching to the choir because you're a part of the team, Marc and Kendra, but it's the setting, the set that you create based off of the deep listening, Marc, that has been done. I'm surprised. I'm in awe every time. Marc, I'm curious. You've directed, and not just in this, but like you've directed hundreds of storytellers. What's the difference between someone telling a story and someone telling the truth?
I want to go back to something
Please.
Lamar talks about. Um, we are looking at changing our titles from storytellers to story sharers, right? Storytellers, and I'm not trying to take away from someone who has a title as a storyteller. Let me say that up
Mm,
front. Um, but a storyteller could tell a story about any inanimate object, anything, and not connect in a real way to that thing that they're telling the story about. Very convincingly, they may tell this story about this thing, right? Um, but what happens in the shortcut show and this process is that you are telling truths because you're telling about your own lived experience,
mm,
right? And we don't, as part of the process, we do strongly encourage folks to um, not fabricate any part of the stories. The stories may sound glamorized or whatever, but it's people's lived experience. And you are telling truths about yourself,
mhm.
you know, in this space. Um, there's a saying, when you tell the truth, there's no need to remember.
Ooh,
Yeah. So
yeah, yeah.
you, no matter when, where, who, why, what, once you say it out of your mouth, it will always be the truth, you know.
Mm,
But when you tell something that is not necessarily the truth, you always have to struggle to remember. What did I say the last time about this thing? You know, or what did I do? But you're telling your truth.
yes.
Yeah. If you're telling your truth, it'll come out naturally all the time, every time.
No, Kendra, I felt your head move as my head was moving. That the and you can both take this because I'm curious of what's the process? How do you get one person from one to the other? Right. So if I'm coming in and I'm telling my story, how do you get a person to go from, okay, you're telling an amazing story. Let's get to the truth, the core of that. What is that process? How does that look?
I know Kendra waiting for me. I know why too. Thank you, my dear. All love. Um, we advertise our shows by themes, right? For the shortcut show, we do it based on themes, and these themes are usually linked to maybe a song, a popular song. Ain't No Stopping Us Now, Dance with My Father Again, I'm Coming Out, etc., etc., right? And when we do the audition call, people come in with like notions. Yeah, I'm going to tell this story on this particular thing, blah, blah, blah. And somewhere, so the process, part of the process that we lovingly call the narrative therapeutic process, um, which is not something new, is not something that we created per se, but it's just a title that we have given to our process. We do um, a series, put these storytellers, story sharers. I'm still going through that
Yeah.
chain.
Yeah.
Story sharers through a process of exploration, excavation for the purpose of expression.
Mm.
So those three E's, right? And through that exploration and excavation process, people when they dig, think of the excavation, you dig in deeper into yourselves, right? Um, and sometimes you I'm gonna you Columbus things within yourself, right?
Okay.
Remember, Columbus said he discovered
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
the
Correct.
West,
Hmm.
but it was already there, right?
Yes. Yes. I
I was
see
like,
what you
explain
did
that.
there.
Yes, break
I
it
did
down, break
because
it down.
Kendra, I was there and I was like, but wait a minute now. When you bring up Columbus, but
Like
I'm a
what?
flow with you. But it was already there. Go ahead. Yes.
Exactly, right? So you in that excavation process, you come up upon things that, woo, ah, I'm remembering. And that's one of the things we do with this thing. We make you remember. We put you to a space of that exploration is exploring, sorry, things that was probably there, not laying dormant, things that you covered, things that you hid or what have you, you know, and then you begin to realize the importance of getting to share this particular thing,
Right.
because in the expression as well, that is also very therapeutic, you know, and the ability to release. We often say you release this thing on the stage.
Right.
Dion, you have been with us twice, through this process, earlier on in its formation and a little later on when we kind of got more solid. So you might be able to speak to your experience through those two times, but it's something that we are very intentional and deliberate about, with that process of getting that person from this point when they come with, okay, I'm going to talk about this particular aspect of my lived experience around this particular theme, and they end up speaking about this other part of
Correct.
it through that process.
Yes.
Yeah. When we remind, we the process sometimes reminds us of that truth that you were talking about, you asked about earlier on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds us something about that truth, that sometimes the truth also, for us, our own truths are hard to face.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the process, some truths that you may have buried, covered, or blocked for one reason or the other comes up in a way that it is saying, I need to be remembered, I need to be shared, I
Mm-hmm.
need to be released.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's the kind of movement that we take folks through in this process. You start you here and you could end up somewhere else in terms of the story you actually share or express on the day of the show. But
Correct.
the process is extremely important.
So let me ask you, because as you've explained it, that the excavation, which I fumble is a hard word for me, uh,
That's okay.
but but Kendra, it's from the outside looking in, people have come in to right now they're storytellers, right? And the process is helping them remember their truth, so they become the story sharers. But then you have this challenge of having, by the end, yes, you started off with a theme, so I'm clear that you have a North Star, but there are, at least I've seen shows, up to 8 folks. How do you set the scene for all these completely different stories. Yes, we may be speaking to one theme, but the way that I'm coming through the door, it's my the truths that I've discovered are completely different from my other story sharers. And then you, but when a person walks into the show, you've set this whole world. How, when does the vision become solid for you? At what part of the process has the world become solidified for you? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does because I just wanted to add, like,
Please.
although I'm not deep in the narrative process, I also look at it as an opportunity, which we all should do, as a reflective process. So, in order for us to really dig into the truth, it is a time that we most often do not create for ourselves to sit still and be reflective. So if we are sitting there looking at, okay, yeah, we're presenting this way every day. We're making up, not making up, but we have stories that we could tell every day off the top of our head. However, when we sit still to really dig deep, then we find out there's more to the story. And so, in listening to the stories and how they evolve, and I hear some here and there, and then I hear the title, and I'm like, what is the commonality? What is the through line of all of the stories? And what is it that I want this environment to reflect back to the story sharers about their own stories? Like, what set will basically highlight and uplift the stories that they're telling, also including pieces of them. So what are they going to give me as their totems to, reflect their stories, and how can I incorporate that in the setting so that everybody is connected by the visual, regardless of what their story is, regardless of the differences, but there's something the same. And like I said, but beyond the theme, there is a reflection throughout all of these stories of each person and each other. So just thinking about that is like, how could I bring that together and make it visual and tell a visual story from that?
Do you crochet? Because
I
just the way that you speak, I'm just thinking about all these threads that, and when I see people crochet, they're taking all these different colors, and then when they open it, finally, it's like all that was going on with when you were
Mhm.
doing this.
I
Like,
just saw this strip, and now
yeah.
it's this glorious blanket or this beautiful dress. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
And stellar. This may be a difficult question for you. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Yes, Mark, please.
Yeah, just wanted to add,
Yes.
as Kendra was speaking, so there's also a sort of a ritualistic approach to this process as well, from all ends, um, and that piece that Kendra spoke about with also incorporating parts or pieces of the storytellers,
The total.
um,
Yeah.
their totems. I didn't want to gloss over that.
Yeah.
I think Kendra does a wonderful, as we know, magical job of creating that setting and scenario. But those pieces, those components to it is part of the ritual
Hmm.
that we have infused
You're right.
into this process, um, to further invoke and lift the spirits of the individuals
Yeah.
and our ancestors in
Ashe,
that space.
ashe.
As you know, we open all our shows with libations, right? And homage to the ancestors. But I will be remiss if we don't share this explicitly in this space, that is also a component that we honor our ancestors, even the griot spirits, because that's what this is about as well. You know, tying that into to this process. Lamar and Darius, when they first created, had the idea of doing this process or creating this platform. Um, you know, again, there was intention
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
intention about creating a space for Black people to share stories. So these elements are part of our Black experience, whether we want to acknowledge it or not.
I want to say, well, thank you to that last one, whether we want to acknowledge it or not, by being a part of this show, you are forced to remember. You are forced to reflect. And that's a part of the therapy work. So I just want to say thank you as a person to Mark's point that I have been able to engage. Um, this again, this may be a difficult question for you because we're talking about 10 years, but I'm just curious, is there a story that fundamentally changed the way you see people? Was there something shared in these years that it's or just stayed with you from a storyteller? Mark, you're laughing and I'm concerned because your laugh is ominous. I'm like, oh gosh.
I could,
Or is it one of those where you can say it's just so many?
it's many that piece together to create probably one thing. But I want to. There's a funny. I don't know if it's funny. And no pun intended. Um, I remember doing the show I'm Coming Out, where we were talking about the experiences of gender identity, sexuality, and so forth, right? So we worked with folks, transgender, uh, homosexual. I don't want to call the wrong names.
Understood.
But that was a growing experience for me, being a heterosexual Black male, coming out of a culture that's very anti those things. Um, you know, so it was a stretching for me, to be able to engage folks in this process, um, which the excavation, the
Yeah, I was about to say you're doing
exploration,
your own work, your own
yeah,
yes.
finding truths and hearing again, the listening piece, listening to the truths and being able to see the other side or the inside of a story, of somebody's lived experience. Um, it increased my empathy, my respect, my understanding, my honor, and creating space for these individuals. I mean, it's not the first time I've come into contact with, this, but I'm saying
It was
that
immersive.
process, yeah, that process really helped me to grow a little more as an individual. Yeah.
That is
I could
powerful.
say that for other things, other stories as well, but that particular show as a whole helped me to do that.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Um, Kendra, was there any, uh, not even like a storyteller, but maybe a topic like you just stayed with, like that was a show that stayed with me?
Um, there are multiple, um, but one that I can just speak to right now is the Coming to America. And the reason why I state that one is because in that show or experience, we get to talk about or reflect on the dualities or the multi-layered people that we are
Mhm.
and what that looks like in this space, this here America, this here America. Mm. And just the journeys that people have taken to come to this place and then to turn and have the experiences that they had amongst each other when we all are one, like we all are the same people, right? Just placed in different, areas of the globe, or different areas on that trail, on that journey. And how the divisiveness that was created through propaganda um, has really impeded the power that we have as a people. And so when we realize each other's stories and we have empathy and compassion and understand the different struggles, the journeys, and where we have come and how we have gotten there, how we are definitely a reflection of each other.
Yeah.
We are definitely the same people. And, with having that education, how we could be so united and powerful. So, just hearing the various stories um just had people reflected on, especially, back in the day, you call somebody a name who's from a different country. Like, I don't want to repeat
I
it,
receive, no, I understand. Yeah.
but or
Tell
we
you.
talk about people from quote unquote third world countries, whatever. I don't call them third world. I mean, they just live differently. I mean, because if that's the case, we have third world here within the United States. So, I don't subscribe to all of that. But really hearing the stories and seeing the connections or seeing the commonalities just really reinforced that we are one. And so I really appreciated that show, but that's just one of them because there are other shows that I'm just like, yeah, that right there, I needed to hear those stories, and it was therapeutic for me to reflect and hear others share.
I'm going to, and I know that you're looking like, okay, when are we going to talk about the show? And we're going to. Is this um you didn't get here by chance. And I believe that it is important for people to understand the journey so that when they're experiencing you for that 10-year anniversary show, they can feel that fullness. So I have a question here that I feel like you've already answered, but you challenge me if it can go deeper. Looking back, what are you most proud that people may never fully see? And here's my thing, in listening to both of you, I've heard a lot about the self-discovery or the stretching or the growth that comes from you just being in company of these stories and listening and I'm not doing the word whenever I do that, that's excavating, right? But if you could take it deeper, what does the audience never fully see of this experience that you have been leading over these last 10 years? Y'all always laughing, and it is scary. Like y'all have the most, oh Lord.
They don't see the fights. That's what we're laughing at right now.
Okay, that's fair. Yes.
You know,
Give me a tea. I need behind the scenes. Come on, yes.
yeah, the creative clashes, between the whole team. We are a real family, and I hate to subscribe to this saying that every family has its dysfunction. I don't like that, you know. To me, that's a crutch for us to do crazy, you know.
Mm,
Uh, but we do have our dysfunction in our families, and give thanks that the audience does not see that. That's thing one for me. Thing two is the audience doesn't see the preparation, the hours, the
mm,
days, the months, the years of preparation that it has taken for us to get to the space that we are in. And I mean years, even for one show, it's years because each storyteller, their lived experience is not just for that one moment, it's not just for that one. They are reliving, recounting, sharing lived experience over a number of years to
mm,
get to
mhm.
that point.
You're right. I hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. Again, this was Lamar and Darius will share part of the idea to do something like this also came from them looking at things like the stoop
The moth.
and the moth and so forth, right? And the difference between us and those other platforms
Mhm.
is the process. The moth and the stoop, they would invite you, or you are selected, elected, or invited to share your story on a particular day at a particular time, right?
Yes.
I don't know the application process. I probably intentionally stay away from
Understood. Yeah.
looking and staying and whatever. Um, but our stuff is we take you through that narrative therapeutic process,
Yeah.
right? Which is a commitment to a set of rehearsals and sessions and so forth, um, to really prepare you for that moment of sharing and expression. And there's a thing that I always say that for all the shows, that these are stories that have to be told for those who need to hear it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And the audience does not see the preparation for that thing that they need to hear. You
I
know,
that yeah.
they
Yeah.
just come and they get the medicine.
Get the gift, right. They get the gift, but they didn't go through the shopping for
Hmm.
it. Mhm.
Yes.
Got you. Um, Kendra, if there was anything that you wanted to add there, but y'all were already laughing along in connection. So, but I just
Oh, I just want to, basically piggyback on that conflict or that bumping heads thing. You know, working with different personalities is definitely something that we deal with on a regular basis. But um in this, people don't see the conflict, people don't see the struggle, people don't see the triggers, people don't see the healing, people don't see the forgiveness, and then we
mm,
start all over again because yeah, um a lot of therapy is happening even through the process with the team. Because like I said, there are triggers that are happening while the process is happening. Yeah, we have creative differences, but then you have to figure out how to come together because at the end of the day, we have the same goal, which is to, support this beautiful project and support the story sharers, and create this experience for the community. So people don't get to see that, they don't need to see that.
no,
Um, but just as the storytellers are going through a journey,
so are
so
you.
are we. Yep. And in addition, it's like even the thought process, because there's a moment where we have to hear the creator, we have to hear our ancestors, and nobody knows that, that's a reflective point because it's like, what story should be told now? Like, what should be the theme now? What should that look like? And and usually it is something that needs to be communicated however it needs to be communicated, or the portal needs to be open for people at that point in time, because everything is divine, everything is in divine time.
Yeah.
So at that time, the portal is open for that person or those people, and for us to go through that journey at that moment in time. So we don't see all the inner, the about,
Yeah.
the ethereal workings, happening to manifest or to orchestrate what is about to happen at that point in time or for that specific show. So, those are
You
the things
you
that
hit
happen.
on something, the why now I wrote down for someone who has never experienced the Shortcuts show, what can they expect from this year's celebration?
I like what you said this year's because this coming show to me is we have other things I think maybe in the pipeline for another thing after this particular production.
Okay.
Um, but they can be prepared for variety to get a sense of different stories shared over the years. We're not just doing we're not doing new storytellers. We have invited folks back to reshare their stories. So they will be getting a variety of stories on the day of. So, and they will be getting a sense of from whence we came, you know, um, and who we are.
Why was it necessary to do this now, though?
10 years, it's a milestone. You know, I mean, when we count, people count and oh,
Yeah.
5, 10, 15, 20,
It's
25.
the
Oh my God.
marker. This is
Yeah.
the marker.
Yeah. Those are the years. You don't count in between. It's just, I'm sorry. Oh, 21 is the other year, Um, but I'm sorry that year 13 doesn't get the love as much as year 15 or
It's fair.
you
It's
know,
fair.
it's
No, no.
really weird. But
Yeah.
that's what we do. We fit into that frame.
So
And
if when you, because you were saying, you have this show now, but and you're already thinking about the next, if Shortcut succeeds beyond your wildest dreams, what changes in Baltimore?
what other changes will take place in Baltimore, you mean?
Oh,
Because I think we are already changing Baltimore with just by our mere presence and having this platform
yes.
for people to share their stories has created change already. And I'm confident in saying that,
Amen.
you know. So what other changes um, would take place is, you know, to me, expanding the brand. If you said if we could dream all the dreams,
Yes, sir.
expand the brand, beyond Baltimore, um, also paying homage to where it came from, because Baltimore gets a bad rap, as we all know,
Yeah.
you know. But this is one of the other gems to me that comes out of Baltimore. Yeah.
Yes.
And folks need to see it shine and understand, hey, this is something that we could hold and say, hey, this was the birthplace, or is the birthplace
Yes.
of the Shortcut Show. Yeah.
Birthplace. I love that. I love that. Kendra, please.
Yes. To answer the question before, I wanted to respond to that. So the 10
Please.
year, the show basically is also a journey through faith and fellowship to shortcuts and being able to see the various experiences over the years and
Mm,
getting to hear the various stories from over the years because we have different storytellers from different shows. You get to see a visual timeline like, oh wow, oh that was the scene, oh okay, and oh she was in the show, he was in the show. So you'll get to see those things and then hear people talk about the impact of the show. So to get a sense of its importance and
mm.
just what it has done with and how it's impacted the community over the years of existence. As far as Baltimore is concerned, so I could say this, right? I hate to say this. I am not born and raised here in Baltimore, but I have been here for a well, I'm not in Baltimore anymore. I have been in Maryland, but Baltimore specifically because I was there for the longest time. I've been in Maryland for over 20 something years. Ooh, I've been here since 1997.
Come on now. Come on now. Root.
So, been on the art scene since and have seen some real jewels of art events and art contributions, even been a part of some of them. Like, I remember we had oh gosh, oh, they're gonna kill me for this one. How am I not gonna remember the name? My God. Not I was gonna say tropical soul. Organic soul. Tropical soul. That's my family's restaurant that they had in Richmond.
Wow.
So let me I didn't mean to refer to that. But
Organic.
Organic Soul, also the project Ladies Verse,
Mm,
so that was something that we did for years to tell the stories through poetry, music, dance, song, but it was from the female's point of view. Um, when I started my nonprofit that I had for 12 years, One World Cultural Arts Society, which brought arts to the schools and the community through arts and cultural arts workshops and, various topics, various subject matters. And since then, there have been so many wonderful organizations. We've had Navasha Dare, her and her husband have started their
Yeah.
organization. In the Cherry Hill area. And, she's world renowned. So, that work spreads all over between Baltimore, Ohio. Her and her husband are doing great work um, with the Youth Resiliency Institute. So, just watching the evolution of these initiatives and projects and passion projects and how they evolved, and then looking at the people that have been a part of those projects who now have their own projects. So, here we are
Wow.
because Darnell was somebody I like. So, we were around when we both had our organizations, our youth organizations, and, contributing back and creating spaces. So, just watching the evolution
Evolution.
and,
Yeah.
yep, the evolution of the arts, the evolution of community work, the evolution of community contribution. And, Mark has been on the scene too with the poetry piece and the youth work, the
Yeah.
community work, and he still does that
God bless you,
as
Mark.
his daytime.
Yeah. Thank you, Mark.
We all do. We all do in some shape or form. But like I said, all of it is a culmination. The work that we're doing is a culmination, and it comes here with shortcuts. We're able to contribute, different aspects or all of that in this project. And so to have it evolve and continue blowing up is just what should happen at this point, because like I said, it's been a long time of things developing, and so all I can see is the continuous evolution of it to serve the community, to give voice to people, to do visual expression, and to really just archive our history, archive our stories, um, yeah, and share it with each other and continue, in a continuous opportunity to heal and to grow and to connect.
Like the richness that you just I can see the evolution and it's so full of color. And to Mark's point, yeah, this is the 10-year, this is a milestone, but it continues. And we're going to be back for the 15 and the 20. And Baltimore will continue to be that grace and grit, but we're owning our story to be known as that city that doesn't hide from the truth. We own our truth and we share it. So I can see that arc. I have two more questions for you. Can you stay with me?
Yes. You said something that resonated really strongly with me. Could I share this quick
Please.
thought?
Yes, please.
Because we spoke about you asked a question about truth and truth telling, and I said Baltimore gets a bad rap, you know, and oftentimes that means Baltimore doesn't get to tell its own story, its own truth. You what is the saying you have about the lion? Please
Until
repeat.
the lion learns to speak, every story will always glorify the hunter.
Mm,
Right. And that is Baltimore. We are trying to, in in some way, giving the lion its voice. Yeah.
Yeah.
To speak its truth.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's what this platform is about.
Receive.
Giving the lions their voices.
Receive.
Yeah.
No, yes, because they do, and I would take it that when they come to the show this month, we'll be able to see the impact of that roar, how it started,
Mhm.
and now look at how it's. So again, back to the evolution. Um, if every story sharer forgot your name, but remembered one lesson from you, what would you want that lesson to be? And I'm going to be honest, as you're thinking, I have lessons from both of you that just in my experience that I have taken away, regardless of whether I've remembered your name, social security number anymore, but being in your company, being in your space, I walked away differently. And while you're continuing to think that's half of the reason why I'm not a part of this month's show, because I understood that amount of revisiting and remembering if I was in a position to remember, because remembering comes with its own emotional work. And do you have the capacity in your season to honor that truthfully. But I knew that going in because I knew who I was working with. I knew it was going to be pulled from and required from. So I just say that you're not going to let people sit on the sidelines and just tell it. No, we need to go deeper. There's more there. Mark, so I'm just saying as a lesson from you, it's no bullshit. Like Mark is gonna say, yeah, I hear you, and that sounds really good, really, really good. That's some bullshit, Dion. Let's go deeper. I'm like, I ain't for that. I may curse Mark out. I'm not in the season for this. Kendra, when you ask that, to bring that Dion, what does that look like for you? Like she's gonna make me go from the feeling to what it looks like. And I'm like, whew. So again, you've pulled so much from people. I'm just curious, with you being as intentional as you are, what do you want people to remember as a lesson from you in doing this work?
I want to sound all philosophical and stuff, but
No, go deep. I'll play the violin. I'll get the saxophone.
um, but what's bouncing on my head, to come out is something about um honoring your authentic self, you know, that oftentimes we put on masks, you know, to face the world. Um, but you have to, you have to um, always remember who you are and be able to just honor and be that in some form or fashion.
Mm-hmm. That is a powerful lesson. And it's not simple for some. It's not simple for some.
Hmm. Hmm.
Kendra?
Um, so when we allow ourselves to be open, um, and transparent, we can receive that we are um, on a divine journey and that we are curators of a wonderful masterpiece.
Mm.
And that's what I'm speaking about, journeys in our lives. When we allow ourselves in that space. So when we talked about the process of reflection, and we know that this is something that will incite healing, um, and connection. Like, all of this is part of our divine journey. And so as we look over the time, we are curating, no matter if it had sorrow, struggles, trauma, recovery. We are the curators of a beautiful masterpiece.
Mm.
Received, received, received and challenged to own that. Like we have a responsibility. Like for anyone that feels like, no, I'm just here. No, you're not. There was an assignment. And working with the shortcuts, you actually help people get in contact with that assignment. So
Mm.
respect. 10 years from now, what do you hope people say about this chapter of the Shortcut Show?
Wait, if I understand the question, 10 years from now,
So they'll be,
this
yeah,
chapter reflecting on the 10th or
yes, yeah, right. Reflecting on this 10-year milestone.
Mhm.
10 years from now, what do you want them to have said? That first 10, it represented that first 10. We were here. Like, what do you want people to say about that history of that milestone from 1 to 10?
I want I want us to say, I wish we had the money that we have now that we had
Amen.
back then.
Truth. Yes. Okay. The resources. Look at what we did with so little, and look at what we're doing. All right. Mm-hmm.
Ah, ah, oh,
Kendra, you rested your back on that one. I don't even think there's a follow-up one.
oh, shucks.
Wow, guys.
Yes, if we had the money we had then that we have now, woo-wee.
Mhm.
Yes, and the sponsorship and support, what? Man, but yeah.
I'm going off Mark. I'm going off our script. How do listeners to this conversation and hearing that answer who have actually seen the impact of your work, how do we give? What do we are supposed to do to help amplify and lift you?
So one, support this, come out, support the shows, come be a audience member, regularly. And we actually started a GoFundMe for this particular show. And I don't know if it's possible to share the link
Mm-hmm.
in some form or fashion here. But yeah, just reach out, and there are ways to connect, to be a sponsor, be a donor, to support the work that we are doing, the necessary work that we are doing. Um, yeah. I will also be remiss if I didn't mention, when we talk about the narrative therapeutic process, we are serious about the therapy piece. We do have a therapeutic team
Mm-hmm.
that works alongside the process, where we have a mental health therapist, a music therapist, and a mindfulness therapist as part of a team that works with the storytellers and the process.
Wow.
And also, again, for the narrative piece, we have coaches that we align each storyteller to, that supports with the narrative development of their stories, because there is a writing component to it as well. So we do, encourage folks to write their stories. That's also part of the therapy,
Yeah.
getting it out from
Journaling.
the head onto the page. Um, so those are unique pieces of the process, and folks can always come inquire about ways that they can support in an active way, and also in a fiscal way as well.
Love it. All right. This is the last question, unless you have more to share, which you will be open to afterwards. This question is for both of you. Why do you think people are so hungry to tell, to share, and hear the truth right now? Right now, in this present time and age, why do you think people are so hungry to tell and hear the truth? Honestly.
Because there's so many lies out there being told. I don't want to get political, but I'm speaking freely. The so-called leader of the free world is spewing lies every day, every day. So we are subject to, or saturated
Saturated.
with lies, about, just the daily goings on of things in our community. We have been told lies about ourselves, for that matter, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So any moment, I think folks get a chance to hear truth, or authentic people, their authentic selves being reflected back to them, that hits your appetite in a different way, you know your senses of smell, taste, hearing,
Mm-hmm.
sight, just feeling that energy of realness
Mm-hmm.
is something people gravitate towards. Yeah, you go to the other things, yeah, whatever that takes you away momentarily, but you have to always, the truth is always there, and you will always gravitate towards that.
Love it.
That's my response.
See.
And we have now come into a time where we are definitely um, highlighting representatives.
Mm.
We have social media. Everybody goes to social media. And initially it was really to connect. Those platforms were established to connect because of, people being all around the world and making sure you could stay in communication. But then it became something else. It has evolved into something that is somewhat unhealthy,
Hmm.
and people are creating representatives. So unfortunately, with the social pressures, people feel like they have to show up a certain way and look a certain way, represent a certain way on social media. So, like Mark was saying, the authentic self, sometimes you lose yourself. You lose yourself in this because you're trying to keep up, you're trying to represent, oh, this is how I'm living, or this is what's going on in my life.
Yeah,
When, doggone well, like that's
yeah,
not every day,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so those are the things that people don't talk about, but this gives you the opportunity to sit back and connect with
Hmm.
that,
Hmm.
with each other and be authentic and honest about, you know what? Yeah, this is what's really going down. This is what I was going through the other day. And really being able to reflect. Like I said, reflection is really necessary for growth and health. And so giving us that time to do so is really necessary because we're not doing that. People are showing, like I said, just trying to,
Yeah, I understand. No,
yeah.
I'm thinking about this as an audience member. So for guests that are coming to watch the story sharing, to the point that you're saying, Mark and Kendra, right now your current reality is being challenged every day with lies. And you're living in a system where you feel like you have to show up a certain type of way. When you sit down for a shortcut show, it's getting a mirror and you feel like yourself glitching back to your truth. So again, as someone on who's sat in a chair and watched the show, and someone who has been on the stage and shared, there is a come to Jesus experience with the shortcut show, that in this day and age where your reality is being challenged every second, it's like a honing device, like this beacon of no, remember, just that word, remember. Um, so I want to open the floor before we close. If there's anything more that you'd like to share for people that are listening in and they've either been following along with the Shortcut Show, they're just hearing about it for the first time, they're meeting you for the first time. What do you want them to walk away knowing? And if you want to give a shout out to Lamar, if there's anything on behalf of Dr. Shields, now that you were put in a position to deliver remarks for him, but you've worked with him for so long as this family, um, what do you need people to know or to walk away with?
Just quickly expanding on what I just mentioned about the lies, there's also the thing of erasure
Good word.
that
Good word.
we are experiencing here in the United States, where they are deliberate, intentional moves to erase Black history, Black culture, um,
Black existence.
Black
Don't even know
existence.
what to remember anymore because you've
Yeah,
taken the story. Uh-huh.
I this is that reflection, as you mentioned, is a space for us to remember, or remember who we are, where we came from, why we're doing what we do, you know, on several levels,
Mhm.
um, and to maintain, not to rewrite per se, but to maintain the things that are trying to be erased,
Yes.
you know.
Thank you for lifting
Um,
that. Yes. Yes.
yeah.
Erasure. It's and to be fair, I feel like you've been hitting on that point throughout this entire conversation, but sometimes it's when it's called to the forefront to know that there is an active assault on wiping the minds, wiping the books, wiping the institutions of your
Hmm.
truth, which
Hmm.
makes it hard for the younger folks to know where to stand. Um, but again, I always like to ask the guests before we close, what is your closing remark or statement on behalf of yourself?
Well, can I just piggyback on that
Yes,
one?
ma'am, you better.
Just real quick,
No
because
quickness. Hit me.
it's just a reminder that they're doing what they were doing from the start, right? Because in order to get us here, what did they have to do? In order to keep us in bondage, what did they have to do? Erase who we truly are. Because with the knowledge that if we continuously had the knowledge and really tapped into who we truly are and what we came here to be, there would be no way
Understood.
that they could sustain the nonsense that they are trying to
Evoke. Hmm.
yeah, evoke or put on us. So creating more spaces where we are reminded who we are, where we are, whose we are.
Yes, we
The
are.
more we do that, the more we regenerate, we grow, we heal, so that we can be that strong essence that we are, innately are. So they're just continuously doing and following their strategy that they have from day one. And as soon as we continue to realize that, more of us, because there's a lot of us
Mm,
that already know that and are doing the work in various ways. But the more of us that realize that, the more of us that counter that, um, the the quicker we'll overcome. So this is just a small contribution, but not no, let me not take no, I'm not gonna even make it small. What am I doing? This is a contribution um in that direction. This is a
yeah,
contribution to that work. So um for the young people, it gives you an opportunity to have a different experience than what the world has created for you now. For the people in between, it's just a reminder to bring us back. And for the elders, it's an opportunity to teach and continuously share and prepare us as we move forward and as everybody grows to, become that generation that leads. This is just a cycle that we are contributing to so that we can continue to be strong and push through all the nonsense that the world is trying to put on us in a way to keep us down. Because that's not going to happen as long as we keep reminding ourselves who we are in these various spaces. And then I also, in recognizing, I just want to lift up the fact that Darius and Darnell, I'm giving props because although they did not know what this was going to evolve into, they heard uh, the directive and they did the work to put it in place
understood.
and was led to bring in the people who continuously become part of the team to help it get to the next level because this can't be done with only one person and or two people. So I give thanks for Darius and Darnell for having that vision, and for coming together to lay the ground,
Yes.
um, for the team to come together and make this and continue making this what it is and what it's going to be.
Kendra, you have been in my head all morning. I too was going to give thanks to Lamar and Darius for activating the vision,
Yes.
and also bringing folks into the fold to maintain and further develop that vision to actualize it in a way that it is impactful for our community.
Mm,
Um, we have folks that I also want to mention
please.
as part of the team, like Tueri Ganges, who, we say she be coaching is her tagline. She's our head coach. Now she's going through the process again as a storyteller, and I'm trying to keep her in that lane. Um, we have sisters Salima Tracy Ward, who was also a storyteller twice around, who is a coach with us. We have Dr. Paula Langford,
Mm,
who is part of our production team. She's a production manager. We have Bobby Blackwell, another stalwart in the industry, who is also part of the team. I know I'm going to forget
Kendra Bell,
Kendra Bell.
KB
Um,
Square.
yeah.
That's me. Yes, yes.
Kendra Bell, our what is her title she gives to herself?
She is because she does the visuals, um
Yeah,
the,
she's
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 like the
magic.
visual graphic engineer.
graphic engineer.
Love it.
Um,
Cause she, yes, her graphics and the beauty in the art and what she is making, um, from a more advanced technological space, is
mhm.
phenomenal, phenomenal.
And y'all shortcuts doing
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Anthony TJ
Oh,
Pay,
TK, yes.
who is our visual engineer. We had DJs like DJ Leroy. Um, Kendra helped me with the one for the last show we are one. What was his name again?
Oh, he was oh gosh, he was
No, not the last show. Not the last show. The show before that one. But DJ Mitt. Um, we also Larry Lancaster, who has been a host with us on for several of our shows. The inaugural show, he was a integral part of that in Faith and Fellowship. We have our therapist team, Monifa. What's Monifa's last name? Jesus, I'm terrible with names. Leonora Eubanks, Tatiana Martin, um, Monifa Williams, I think.
no, it's
Monifa,
not
please,
Monifa Williams.
Monifa, please forgive me if you're seeing this and you're grinding that I can't remember your name,
We
but
always know it's to blame the head, not the
blame
heart.
the head. Not the heart.
Monifa Jeffries Riggins.
Yes, there we go. You see how far away I was from that.
I
So
was like,
again,
oh, oh Lord.
It's a slippery
and
slope when you start naming names.
yes,
You
yes,
better
yes,
name the
yes.
right one.
But I want to make sure we give them, their props. And Tasha, who is our stage manager for several of our shows. And yeah, there's several people who contribute to this behind the scenes. Baba Olomina as
DJ
well.
XL. DJ XL.
Excel, DJ Excel. Yeah, those have been the three DJs across the span of time with us. Yeah, so there are lots of people who help to lift this up.
No,
It's not a two-man, not a four-man plus one woman show. You
mhm.
know, um, yeah, there's a lot of people who help to make this thing what it is. Yeah, and even your Patty Smith, your contributions as well, Dion, as a two-time storyteller, a host, and now you're supporting in this way. I mean, we can't. That's why when you ask the question of the 10 years from now,
Yeah,
about if we had the resources that everybody's pockets will be filled,
understood. And
you
can I
know.
say, as a close with a dot dot dot, again, for those that have been listening along with us today, the Shortcut Show is celebrating their 10-year anniversary. But understand that every time that you support or you sit in the presence of these story sharers, you leave. I love that word of it's like regenerative, like you're empowered, it's powering up, and you're building this army. This is a movement. It is not a show alone. This is a movement. And for anyone that comes up to take part, you are a part of this movement. So if you don't know about the Shortcut Show, you know about them now, and we look forward to seeing you soon. When is the date of the show and time?
July 25th at the Reginald F. Lewis Museum. Start time 2 p.m.
Be there or be square. On that note, this is hashtag My Be More Project. What's the 410? It has been a blessing. See you soon. Peace.
I just want you to be great. I just want you to be great. I just want you to be great. Even if it means you gotta leave me and you don't wanna be baby, look baby, I'm straight. I just want you to be great. I just want you to be great. I just want you to be great.